Episode number 32 of the Full Court Report.
Yes, sir, indeed.
We back. And evident by Justin's background, you have a feeling of what we're going to be talking about. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to mention anything before we get started. I know the Olympics have been going on. So shout out to all those athletes.
Except for Team USA because, they're a bunch of clowns over there.
Team USA basketball, that is.
Yeah. Team USA
all the other athletes are cool, but those guys, they're making us look like a bunch of scrubs. But anyway, I say we get right into it because we do have quite a bit of news to cover. But this past Tuesday, the Milwaukee Bucks defeated the Phoenix Suns in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 105-98, winning their first NBA title since 1971, exactly 50 years on the dot. And in the series clinching win, the Finals MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, became the first player ever to record 50 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks in an NBA Finals game. Truly one of the most historic games we'll ever see. But I guess my question to you is, what does this championship mean for Giannis's legacy? And do you think he'll be hoisting up the Larry O'Brien trophy later in his career for a second, potentially even third time?
Giannis he's only 26. He already had a great resume. Already did. He had 2 MVPs, a DPOY, most improved, 5-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA first team, 2 times on the second team, 3-time All-Defensive first team, 1 time on the second team, and now he's a champion and a Finals MVP. He was already being put in people's top 5, power forward of all time list without the ring. And I think that solidifies it right now. He's top 5 all time at his position, no doubt about it.
I think I gotta agree with that.
Really? I don't know. I gotta say, I don't know.
Who else?
If we really want to get technical with it, I think Tim Duncan clearly reigns supreme on that position. Then ring or no ring, I feel like Karl Malone probably is higher on that list than Giannis. Okay. As is probably Charles Barkley at this stage of his career. The thing is, we can't get caught up with Giannis's resume at 26 years old because, we can't. It's kind of similar to how LeBron has been compared to MJ throughout his whole career, where it's his resume is not yet complete.
Yeah, but it's showing us if
he's on the trajectory to become probably second, but I don't know if I can necessarily place him that high yet because he's only 26.
Well, yeah, you can only place him as high as at this point, it's really just based off of opinion. But I do feel like it shows something that he did it on the team that he was drafted with. And he even alluded to that himself, which I think we're going to get into a little bit later about how he did it the right way. I say that quote unquote, but I think that is impressive. I think that is something to be noted, on his legacy, sort of like the LeBron James championship when he went back to Cleveland. He obviously had rings, but I don't know if any of his rings that he had gotten before were as special or whatever, or maybe as hard to get. So I think that will be something that we might be talking about later on down the line when we're discussing where he ranks amongst like the greatest power forwards ever.
That brings me to a perfect Toby. They did it the right way here this time, but I don't know if they could do it again with the team that they have. So Giannis, to me, he seems like the type of guy to be like, all right, I already got my ring in Milwaukee. I'm going over to LA or Miami. I'm going to be big chilling on the beach and then go play basketball. And that seems like to me the next scenario where he can get a ring.
I disagree.
You don't think he's like the type of clown? He's going to be like, you know what? I got a ring. Let me go chill in LA.
He's from a different cloth. Like he's from Greece. He really he really got it out the mud. So I feel like the fact that the Bucks took a chance on him drafting him is like it means more to him than it might to like another player who has always been number one in their high school draft and like sort of expects to be favorited, kind of, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Well, I mean, this is a good transition to the next question, but like last thing on like legacy talks in general, I don't know if I necessarily like enjoy having legacy talks because it's like, what are we really even debating? Like, are we debating resumes? Are we debating skill? Like, I don't know. It's just like weird to me. And again, a player like Giannis still has probably 8 to 10 years left at this level. So it's like, what is he even going to look like? Is he going to improve as a player, as a shooter, as a playmaker? God knows what he could do in freaking 5 years. Like, I don't know. So I don't know. It's just a weird question that I posed, I guess. But you guys both mentioned, well, Toby, you mentioned it at least. Following Game 6, during his press conference, Giannis said, I couldn't leave. This was a question kind of posed to him about his loyalty to Milwaukee. He said, I couldn't leave. There was a job that had to be finished. And it's easy to go somewhere and win a championship with someone else. I could have gone to a super team and done my part and won a championship, but this is the hard way to do it. And I mean, he really took a shot, I think, at the rest of the league. But this past December, at least, he signed a 5-year Supermax contract extension with the Bucks. And, a lot of people were kind of criticizing him for doing that because they didn't think he could win. And look at him now. He's a finals MVP. But what do you guys think this championship, if any, what effect do you think this championship will have on the rest of the league in terms of, small market teams kind of retaining superstars like a Giannis and just the loyalty of players in general?
I think I want to start off on this one because let's not beat around the bush. I feel like he was definitely referring to James Harden when he made those comments, just because of that like little beef that they got going on, if you could even call it that. But in terms of how the rest of the league is gonna, I guess, react or respond to Giannis, I don't see it really changing at all, to be honest. I mean, this year was kind of different because we had two teams that a lot of people didn't expect to make the finals. And maybe that shows like, any team really has a shot at any particular year. But I just feel like the way that the NBA is going in a direction where it's more acceptable for free agents to, sign with different teams and request trades like superstars have been doing in the past few years. I don't see that really changing at all. And like I said, I think Giannis is cut from a different cloth, honestly. I feel like that, like, him being on the same team that he won a championship with really means a lot more to him than maybe I don't want to throw him under the bus, but maybe like a Damian Lillard who might be requesting a trade this offseason. So I think maybe some players might reconsider, but overall, I think we're going to be seeing the same things.
That's a perfect. You couldn't have led me to my point any better, Toby. Giannis did it in Milwaukee this year, but he carried. The guy carried like we've never seen before. Dame has been doing. I think so. Yeah. Dame has been doing the same thing. He's been putting up 30-point games, 30 points per game on his whole season, basically since he's been in place in
Portland.
There you go. And the Blazers can't even sniff the finals. And in my opinion, they have a better roster than the Bucks did this year. Like, you can only be so loyal to the team that drafted you if the front office is willing to go out of their way to help you. Dame has been saying, I'll stay here, but you got to get me the help. And the roster this year has been better than past years, but they still didn't get it done. So what more are the Blazers going to have to do to get Damian Lillard where he wants the team to be?
Well, I don't know if I completely agree with that. I feel like the Bucks really have, as much as I like criticized them in the past, I do think that their supporting cast is like probably one of the best in the NBA. Like everybody else besides Giannis, I'm talking about. And I mean, they did it without Dante DiVincenzo, who's like one of their primary, I guess, bench players, because I don't think he was starting. And I don't know. I don't want to hate on Damian Lillard at all, so I'm just going to keep my comments to myself.
I don't know if I agree with the Bucks supporting roster. Yes, they have Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, but outside of that, you have Brook Lopez, who's a solid option, and then I guess Dante DiVincenzo isn't too bad.
And then they got PJ Tucker, who's, I mean, he locks down. Like, he made it very difficult for Kevin Durant, even though Kevin Durant obviously went off on that series. Like I said, he was playing football out there. Yeah. Just making it tough. And they got a bunch of defenders, I feel like.
I don't know. I mean, okay, so but back to the whole, does this have an impact on small market teams? It has a small impact on like the thought process of these players. Like, they might be, Giannis won a championship, but that's also Giannis Antetokounmpo. That guy's a freak of nature. The guy's, he's insane. You've never seen anything like him. So that might make him think, yeah, he did it, but when was the last time that something like this has happened, where guy from the team he got drafted just won it all? Like, it's very rare. It's not gonna completely shift. Like,
I mean, that's what separates the greats. Like, Kobe did it with the Lakers. You could even argue LeBron going back to Cleveland. Like, I feel like that's Tim Duncan. Like, that's kind of what separates, like.
And that's a point that I think I would make is, we talk about guys like Damian Lillard in Portland. We talk about, maybe a Karl-Anthony Towns in Minnesota, a De'Aaron Fox in Sacramento. There's just simply a limit on how good those players are, first of all, and how good they can be, or how good their teams can be as the best player, or as with them as the best player, I guess. And, like Toby said, I think Giannis displayed that he's clearly just in a different tier of superstar than some of those other guys. And there's a reason why we label guys like Giannis, guys like LeBron or Kobe or MJ as generational talents, because literally once in a generation, they come along and just basically take over the league for as long as they can. So, if anything, I feel like more than the loyalty and, the loyalty aspect and the small markets and things like that, I feel like what could potentially change is how willing teams are to mortgage their future for a championship. Because obviously this year we saw the Bucks, they gave up 3 first-round picks for Drew Holiday, and in the same year they won a championship. And even last year, the Lakers with LeBron, I feel like when you have a player of that caliber, teams are going to be more willing to go all in. Obviously there's a lot of risk involved with that. You could be like the Nets and unfortunately have a ton of injuries or something. But I feel like teams understand the value of a championship, and we'll see. I think those win now players are going to be more valuable than ever moving forward. But that's just my 2 cents.
Do you guys think that Luka can win a championship in Dallas?
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, he's like, I think he's better than Trae Young. Obviously, we've seen how far Trae Young carried the Hawks. He is in I think, a tougher division in the West, but I just think he's so young, and just his confidence and his maturity and his playing style, it's just he's only going to get even better and better. And I feel like he just needs one superstar or one even, just great player, and he could.
It's funny that you mentioned Luka though, because actually there's a new book about Giannis that recently came out, essentially kind of telling his life story. Him growing up in Greece, being with his family, the importance of, Milwaukee as an organization in his life. But there was one part actually that was pretty interesting. Toby, I think you'll appreciate this. Is the author, she was talking about how when Jason Kidd was the head coach of the Bucks, he would like push Giannis like twice as hard as anyone else, even before Giannis became the Giannis we know today. He was saying like, I was on that guy's ass, whenever we did practice or like film, because I understood like he has a lot of potential. And he would like embarrass Giannis in front of the team, like call out his mistakes more often and stuff like that. And I think, it helped mold him into a more or a better leader, I guess. And I think if Jason Kidd, who is now the head coach of the Mavericks, can do the same thing with Luka, that might be that might be like a huge turning point that is probably going to get overlooked because everyone views Luka already as like a superstar player. And this is kind of like a thing, leadership is like a quality that isn't displayed on the court, obviously. Or I mean, it kind of is, but not the same as like shooting, But I feel like that could be an interesting, if Jason Kidd can bring that out of Luka, you might be onto something, Justin. He could potentially win a ring in Dallas.
Yeah, but you just brought up that point. Like Jason Kidd was embarrassing Giannis at the practices. If he tried to pull that with Luka, I think Luka would get his ass fired or something. Luka would be like, "You're not going to clown me, buddy. Like, I run this organization."
I want to say though, I think I brought this up in a past episode. I said, with like, Kidd is the type of coach where he's going to criticize you to the public, and he pretty much has no chill. So I think that sort of like discouraged Giannis. And I said this, you could go back to the receipts. And I said, I think this might work with Luka, because Luka's the type of player where I feel like Luka's the type of player where he's going to take all the criticism, and like, I guess he's more hard on himself than a lot of other players. So Jason Kidd, I'm telling you, that was a great signing.
Yeah, we'll see. But you're right, though. I mean, Luka always took the blame for whenever they were on like losing streaks or playing poorly in the playoffs. Luka would always be like, I need to be better, even though he would be having like 30-point triple doubles.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, guy, I think it might be your teammates, but I respect it. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what kind of impact this will have on the league, if any, but we'll see moving forward. But I kind of want to talk about the Suns because obviously they are, they overachieved this season. I don't think there's any way around it. And it's crazy to think that in 2019, just 2 seasons ago, they went 19-63.
My God.
They obviously, everyone remembers they went undefeated in the NBA bubble and finished with the second best record in the NBA, obviously, this past regular season. They eliminated the Lakers in round 1, the reigning champions. They swept Nikola Jokic, the MVP, in round 2. And then they beat the Clippers to reach their first final since 1993. So that being said, though, I mean, where do they go from here? What do the Suns do moving forward? Can they get back to the finals? Does CP3 come back? What's the plan here?
I think Chris Paul should stay. You just said went from one of the worst teams in the league to second in the West and then the finals in his first season there. The roster, super young roster. It was basically everybody's first time in the playoffs, let alone the finals. So everybody's going to get better. Everybody has playoff experience now. They know what it's about. There's a great chemistry with Chris Paul and Monty Williams. They worked together way back when in New Orleans. But there is a possibility he gets traded. And I've been hearing Lakers rumors swirling all over the place with this guy, Chris Paul. So that might be what happens. But if I were him, I'd just let the Suns train ride, baby.
See, if I was Chris Paul, now I think Chris Paul is going to stay. But personally, if I was Chris Paul, the one team I would want to go to, as much as I hate to say it, is the Lakers. And a couple of reasons. One, they obviously have one of the highest chances to make the finals next year. And two, we all remember when David Stern was the commissioner, and obviously he vetoed the trade to send Chris Paul to the Lakers because he thought him and Kobe Bryant would be too OP. I think him signing to the Lakers and possibly winning a ring would be sort of like an FU to the league, but at the same time, it's like he's not getting any younger. I don't know how many more years he can play on this level, even though, like, as crazy as it is, I don't think this is the highest level he's ever played on. So I just think that he should go to a team like the Lakers where he's not going to have to be the guy. And obviously he has, other players he can work with and just be a ring chaser. That's all I can say. But I do think that he will stay with Phoenix.
Yeah, I personally think he'll stay too. But, there's a lot of talks about the Lakers, but I'll mention this first. So it was in June, it was reported that CP3 wanted to opt out of his player option this coming for next season, which is worth $44 million. And he wants to sign like a longer term deal because he understands, like, okay, if I play on a 1-year contract, there's a potential I don't play as well and then I'll make less money. So he wants to sign like a longer term deal with a team moving forward. And again, the Lakers have been in the preferred or whatever destination. Everyone keeps saying, oh, go to the Lakers, go to the Lakers. The Lakers, like, financially, it would literally be like almost impossible to even get Chris Paul to this team because I read this somewhere, even if they waived every single player on the team except LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Talen Horton Tucker, they they would still only be it would still be about $12 million less they could offer Chris Paul than what the Suns can right now. So even again, if they had 3 players on their team, he would still be taking a pay cut. And then again, if you go the sign and trade route, which would, allow Chris Paul to get the amount of money he wants, that would, because of how much money LeBron and Anthony Davis are making, assuming they don't trade Anthony Davis or LeBron to get Chris Paul, which would probably be the case, they would only have about $17 million to spend on the whole rest of the roster.
Oh my God.
So like the rest of the team would be like minimum contract players. And like maybe you're a free agent and you see LeBron, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, you're like, oh, I'll play there for nothing. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I think that would happen though. I mean, it happened with the Nets last year when we talked about Blake Griffin, and I mean, obviously the supporting cast wasn't great. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, and who knows? Maybe if they hadn't traded the big 3. But in terms of the Lakers, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, I don't know if getting Chris Paul would be such a good.
It's just like it would be such a fragile situation, the same way it was with Brooklyn, because if any of the 3 who are pretty injury prone, I mean, surprisingly, Chris Paul was the healthiest this past year. If any of them miss any amount of time, then I mean that team, that's just not good. So it's I do think he'll be back in Phoenix. I feel like that's the best spot for him, really. Because he has the chemistry with the team already. The coach, obviously, Monty Williams. If he were to leave, I feel like he would have to go to a team unlike the Lakers. I think the Knicks, as crazy as it sounds, I feel like that would probably be an even better fit for him. Simply because like they already have a pretty good team and he would be able to get paid the money he wants. Or go to like the Heat and play with like Jimmy Butler, Bam, because they desperately need like a better point guard and like Goran Dragic.
What about the Clippers?
He's back to the
when is
Clippers.
Kawhi coming back? Does anybody know?
I mean, the last I checked, I'm pretty sure he's probably just gonna miss the whole season. So
I think if they had a healthy roster, like with Kawhi and Chris Paul were to join them, I think they could do it, honestly.
I don't think he would go back to the Clippers.
I don't think he would either, but it would just be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. And in terms of whether or not the Suns can make the finals again, I think it really depends on how much better, guys like DeAndre Ayton get, Mikal Bridges get. Because I feel like Devin Booker, at least like offensively, I don't know how much better he can really get. And then, I don't know, Chris Paul isn't going to get any better, I don't think, at this stage of his career.
Yeah,
but
that's what I said. I said I don't think the Suns are going to make it back during the Chris Paul era. I think that's it. So if I was him, I'd be a ring chaser, but it also makes sense for him to stay too. So, there's not much really that you can argue with that.
I mean, I think they're definitely
at this point in his career, he's got to choose money or the ring. You want to chase that bag or you want to chase that ring, buddy?
So Rondo said it himself back in like 2007 or 2008. He said he's never going to win a ring in his entire career. It's turning out to be true.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Rondo's chilling with 2.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that whole situation. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting offseason. That being said, the offseason begins, in my opinion, on Thursday because the 2021 NBA draft is this week. And we haven't really talked much about the draft at all this year. I think maybe once or twice we mentioned like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, guys like that. And, there's plenty of trade rumors surrounding the draft right now. And I think, at least for the moment, we may just wait and see what happens because who knows? It's always so crazy on draft night. But that being said, let's start here. Is there a certain player or prospect in this year's draft that you are kind of higher on than the rest of the world or the rest of the NBA draft community? Is there anyone that you think is going to be a lot better than what people are saying he is? Either of you.
I'll let you go, Toby.
Okay. Mine should come as no surprise, as I have mentioned him time and time again. And that player is LSU, shooting guard, I guess you could call him Cam Thomas. At the moment, I've seen him as high as like 15, 16, but I've also seen him as low as like the late 20s, like 28, 29. So it's really like a mystery, in my opinion, of where he's going to go. But I feel like he's going to have an immediate impact no matter what team he goes with in terms of scoring, especially if he goes on a team that is sort of, lacking that element coming off the bench, maybe. He's like a microwave type player, like a spark plug. Like you're going to put him in off the bench. He's going to give you, 6 to 8 points just like that. They're going to have to call a timeout, and then boom, your team is right back in it. I think one team that comes to mind that actually does or might have a chance of drafting him is the Los Angeles Lakers. I feel like as a player coming off the bench, Lakers fans have been complaining about their bench unit for, even when they won the championship, everybody was clowning Danny Green, Kuzma especially. He gets a lot of hate. I feel like Cam Thomas, he has the confidence. He's a great shooter. He mid-range, he shoots deep threes, and even like off the dribble, fadeaways, mid-ranges. Like he makes tough shots. He's not super like athletic, but he is explosive, if that makes any sense. He can get by like defenders. He averaged 23 points, led all freshmen in the country in scoring. And he said it himself. He said, I'm the best scorer in the draft, and his favorite spot to score is anywhere. So I think he was making the NBA.
I think
now. Go ahead, Jorie.
No, I was just gonna say, you mentioned the Lakers as a potential team. I don't know if I necessarily see him going there, mainly because like I think at this point the Lakers, who aren't gonna have any more draft picks or like first round picks for I don't even know, like 6 years. I feel like they either have to draft someone that is gonna help right away, like an older player maybe that is already more developed, or just someone that has like the highest upside possible to where if LeBron decides to move on, you have this guy that could potentially turn into something. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Maybe.
He's
he's a shooter. Like
wherever
LeBron
he
always needs shooters.
Yeah, wherever he goes, I think he's going to be solid. What about you, Justin?
Now, I don't have as big of a high profile player as Toby does. Kind of tried to choose like a sleeper, but my man BJ Boston out of Kentucky needs to go in the first round. People have been projecting him to go all the way down to like the 40th pick in the draft, all the way down to second round. He's 6'7", 185. He's a lanker, shooting guard out of Kentucky. Now this guy's Toby thinks Cam Thomas can make a tough mid-range shot. This guy lives off tough mid-range shots, bro. He's got like the one thing that NBA players are always like, oh, I got to work on the mid range. Mid range is a lost art. This guy's got that down pat, bro, down pat. I promise you. But yeah, the only thing he's really got to work on, like a lot, is not really his ball handling, but knowing when to pass versus shoot. Like he can pass off the dribble, he can shoot off the dribble, but because of his ability to do that, he like takes a lot of really contested mid ranges. So he needs to know when to pass out of those, and he needs to bulk up. He's 185 and he's 6'7". Like, you don't want that.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about him or this like entire Kentucky team, because generally Kentucky, they have really, really good players, obviously. I mean, you think every year there's at least one that's like always turns into like, I mean, think about it. You have Jamal Murray that comes to mind, SGA, Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis. I mean, last year there was your guy, Emmanuel Quickly, and Tyrese Maxey. Like every year, it seems like Kentucky has at least one guy or two guys that's going to be like solid. So who knows? Maybe once he gets in the NBA, he'll be a lot better.
The Knicks have an early second round pick. Team him up with Julius Randle and Emmanuel Quickly. You got a whole team of Kentucky Wildcats.
Can't forget Kevin Knox.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know who I want to choose. I feel like my favorite player, who is kind of projected to go pretty high, but I think could be even better than what people are saying, is Moses Moody from Arkansas. He is, I mean, he kind of just gets thrown into the 3-and-D type player mold because he's like a very good outside shooter. That's his best skill at the moment. He shot, almost 36% from three. And he draws a lot of attention, in that part of his game. But he also, not similar to someone like Cam Thomas, but he kind of can create his own shot more than he gets credit for. And, defensively, he's not perfect, but he has a 7'1" wingspan, which is the longest of any, point guard, shooting guard, or small forward in this year's draft class. And that helps a lot, covering mistakes that he makes on that side of the floor. I feel like the only thing that he could improve on is just like finishing. He's only like 200 pounds, so he's like not the strongest guy. So if he can like become a better and stronger finisher, I mean, his game could be he'll be a very well-rounded player. I just think he's like a safe pick, to where it's like he's not going to be a bust regardless. He might not be the best player, but he's not going to suck. And I think he has a decent amount of upside as well, to where he could become a lot better than what people are saying he is.
Yeah, I was gonna put him down as my guy, but I wanted to pick somebody who is going like late.
Yeah.
He's supposed to go like top 10 though, right?
Yeah, I've seen him like go anywhere in like top 10 to 15.
Yeah, he's a lottery pick.
So I'm excited for whoever
That's
gets
a solid pick. Wait, how tall did you say he was?
It's like 6'6". So it'll probably be like a
7
shooting
foot
guard.
wingspan. Yeah, that's kind of absurd.
One is it's freaky. But now on the other side of things, I already know who I'm going to say, but are there any players that you just think are way overhyped, players you think might be a bust, and even though everyone is saying they're going to be nice?
Well, I certainly have one.
Yeah.
I don't know if Justin, if you want to go first or.
I'll go first because I don't really know nothing about this guy. He kind of just blew up out of nowhere.
Hope he's not the same guy.
About him. Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell.
Ooh.
I feel like people only knew who that guy was because he's D Mitchell and he wore number 45. Like, and had no idea who that guy was up until I saw that on Instagram. So I don't know. I mean, he was good in college. He was very good. He was like one of the best defensive players in the league, but he's also 22. So I don't know if it means he was a senior, but you know, he's like older. He's an old head.
I think he like did
And
a
he's
redshirt
6'2". Okay. So yeah, he's 6'2", 205. So I mean, he's like, you know, he's got a little bit of muscle on him, but he would be like a smaller sized guard in the NBA. I don't really know what like benefit he has other than his defense. Like I don't really know what kind of offensive game he has, but I really only knew about this guy because he was D Mitchell and he wore 45. Like that's really the only reason I know who he was.
I mean, he's a good finisher, right? I think. I
Honestly,
remember watching him play, but
like he's all around like a pretty good player, I feel like. And the knock on him, like Justin said, is his age because he's 22 now, but he'll be 23 by the time the season starts. So like you have to question how much more like upside he has. Like at that age, you're probably like pretty developed as a player. So that's obviously a concern, but
yeah, that's true.
we'll see.
So I'm glad we didn't choose the same guy. I thought maybe we would have, or maybe Jorie actually chose the same guy. But for me, this guy I've been seeing in the top 10 for pretty much every mock draft. Not really top 5, but 6 through 9, pretty much in that area. And that's Franz Wagner. And
Wow. Interesting.
I know it's an interesting take, but in my opinion, he's just not like, I know he's obviously a different player than his brother, but he just doesn't stand out like as being a lottery pick to me. Stats wise, I mean, Mo Wagner had better stats than him, like overall, and obviously they play different positions, but he's smaller. He's not super athletic. He can't blow by a defender. Although he is a decent finisher at the rim, I think it's going to be a lot harder in the NBA where obviously there's better athletes, better defenders. Shooting stats are, I mean, he can shoot from 3, but again, they're like comparing him to his brother in college, it's slightly less of a percentage. He is a good defender, so I'll give him that. But I don't see how an NBA team can look at this guy and be like, he's going number 7. Like he's the best player we can possibly choose. And also in that Michigan versus UCLA game where UCLA won, I know it's only like one game, but he only had 4 points in that game, shot terribly, just had a really, really poor game. And I think that means a lot where, when the game's at its highest intensity, he can't step up. And I don't know how well his game is going to translate to the league.
I think it's actually, I mean, I probably agree with you that I wouldn't take him like at 7 or wherever the hell he's supposed to go, but I think he's going to be a good player because he is like 6'9", and obviously you mentioned his defense, like he's like really good on ball defensively, like for someone that big, like that's a very valuable thing to have. And he's a pretty solid playmaker for someone that big as well.
True. Yeah,
So
that's
like
true.
he's not going to be like a star, I don't think. But if you pair him like the way Kyle Anderson is for the Grizzlies, like if you get a player like that out of him and you pair him next to a guy like not literally like Ja and Dylan Brooks and Valanciunas, but like if he's like the fourth best player in your starting lineup or something, then you're probably gonna have a pretty solid team down the line.
I feel like
You know,
I don't think he's gonna be as good as Kyle Anderson though. Like as
I mean, he might not be, but he has potential.
I guess
Which
so.
is-
I mean, we'll see. We'll see, but he's just somebody that I looked at and I was just like, I think there's a lot of other players that should be a little higher over him. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, this is probably gonna piss you off, but this
I
is
think I know who you're choosing.
a player who I don't like. I just don't know. I can't wrap my head around why he's so highly regarded as a player. We've seen it so many times where a player kind of just rises because he's a athletic like freak, a wing player. I don't know. And that's Jonathan Kuminga. I don't see
Ooh,
I don't see the
okay.
hype. I don't
thought
see
you
the
were gonna
hype.
say
I
something.
really don't see that. I
But
think
like,
the thing is with him is he's 18 years old and he was competing in the NBA G League against, grown ass men. And I think his teammate Jalen Green was saying like, "Oh yeah, if we had played in college, who goes number one overall would be a different story because of how they thought they were a lot better than what they showed in the G League." But like every year, there's at least one wing who's just like who doesn't really have like a bankable skill, who isn't necessarily good at any particular thing, but is like super athletic and has good measurables and stuff like that. Like think about it. 2014, Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon, say what you will about Aaron Gordon, but he was like the fourth pick in that draft. Like I don't think he was the fourth best player in that draft. I think the year after that, there was Stanley Johnson, who basically became nothing. Then you have Justice Winslow, who was also like a top
Oh my
like
God.
10 pick. Torian Prince, Toby, who used to play on the Nets. I mean,
yeah, he
that
was.
guy was a lottery pick. Josh Jackson, who again went like fourth overall
Oh my
to, I
God.
think, Kevin Knox, Justin from Kentucky,
yeah.
who was really regarded as, doesn't really have much skill, but hey, he's got potential because he's young and athletic. And then in 2019, Jared Culver, who, at Texas Tech got to the championship game, hasn't really developed at all. So it's like, I understand the appeal because he's so young, but like what did he do in the G League that was impressive, like at all?
I mean, he averaged a lot of points. Like,
But he shot 38% from the field, 24% from three.
Oof.
He had a lot of, often similar to like what you said about BJ Boston, Justin, like he had like tunnel vision to where like if he's looking to score like almost all the time and he's just not like an efficient scorer, he averaged almost 3 turnovers a game. Defensively, for someone that size and that, athletic, you would like to see better, results on that side of the floor. It's just like I see these comparisons to like, oh, he could be Paul George or Jaylen Brown. I'm like, I don't see it. I think I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it. But that's just.
I think he's gonna be nice. I think. I mean, it's hard to. It is kind of hard to say what his main skill set is gonna be. I feel like depending on what team he goes to, is gonna sort of, what's the word? What am I trying to say? Like that's gonna tell us the trajectory that his career is gonna be on, depending on what kind of team he is. Like he could be on a team where they're just gonna be focusing a lot on him, trying to get him to improve on things like shooting. And he'll be able to improve on those things. Or he could be on like a contender where he's coming off the bench, getting little minutes, and they got bigger fish to fry. So I think it is a risk. I will admit that, but Kuminga is a player that I really like, and like you said, he's only 18. Like, he has a lot to learn in the NBA, and he has a lot of time to get better. I love his mid-range game, and I think he can be a better shooter if he keeps working on that, as opposed to somebody like Giannis, who I don't think he's gonna, form a great jump shot by the time his career is over. But I guess we'll see.
I don't know. It's
I think
just like when I look at all the top players in this year's draft, like I have to pick a bust of like those who are projected to go in the lottery. Like, he's the guy that stands out to me because there's always at least one. And like all the other ones, Cade, if he's bad in the NBA, then I don't know what the hell happened. Evan Mobley, I mean, that guy has more upside than like anyone in this draft, in my opinion.
I thought you were gonna say Suggs.
I like Suggs, but I don't think he's gonna be like some superstar point guard. I think he'll be pretty. Like, I feel like he'll probably be like on the level of someone like DeJounte Murray, where it's like you see flashes of like star player potential, but he'll probably like not be an all-star.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
That's kind of.
I was looking at the mock draft, and they had Scotty Barnes going.
I love Scotty Barnes.
To the Magic.
I love that.
I'm not sure if him going to the Magic is what is the move, though, because it seems like everybody who ever gets drafted to the Magic ends up stinking it up, and they already have like the whole team is guards already. Like, what are they doing over there?
Well, he's like a wing. He is like a point forward, basically. He's
okay.
Everyone compares him to Draymond because, defense is like his best attribute probably, but he's also like a surprisingly good passer and stuff like that. I don't think he's Draymond because I hate that seems just like such a lazy comparison because they see like a bigger guy that can play defense and pass, and they're like, oh, it's Draymond. But like, I don't know. He could be pretty good. He's huge.
I think it'll be better if he goes somewhere that isn't the Magic.
I think, yeah.
I just don't think that. I mean,
they have 2 picks though. That's the thing. That's the good thing with the Magic is that they have 5 and 8.
That's right. Yeah.
So they can afford to get one of them wrong and the other one,
I would package them together and trade into the top 3.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't think any of the teams are going to be moving down. It would be stupid.
Yeah, I feel like the top 3 are pretty much like done deal.
If I'm the Rockets, I wouldn't take out trading down, especially for 2 picks. Are we serious?
I think the Rockets might regret taking Jalen Green over Evan Mobley.
Facts. I was just about to say that.
Like, I understand the fit with Christian Wood and Evan Mobley is questionable, and you want a guard, but like this guy Evan Mobley is literally insane. Like, he might honestly be the best player in the draft, like better than Cade. Like, he has that kind of upside. Like, he literally has like Anthony Davis level upside. He's that good.
I agree. I completely agree.
He was saying like in college, because of like how, the dimensions or something of the court and stuff, like he couldn't display his full athleticism. I'm like, what the hell does that even mean? So
I think that might be cap. I think that might just be cap.
Like, I don't think you guys understand. Like, I'm like 50% of what I showed in college. And I'm like, if that's the case and you're going like 3rd overall, then what the hell?
Yeah. Also, I think in terms of like Jalen Green, I don't know if he'd be the best fit next to KPJ. Because I feel as though KPJ is a primary like score first kind of guard, and they obviously have John Wall, so that would be another thing. And I feel like the upside with pairing Christian Wood and Evan Mobley together is like it could be something that we've never seen before. Just two big men just going off, and then you got KPJ and John Wall. Like, I think they
That's
should definitely
crazy.
do Mobley.
But I mean, I'm not saying Jalen Green will be bad. I think he's going to be solid. But I just feel like in a few years we might look back and be like, why did they do
I'm
that?
telling you, they should trade down. They could pick up
Really?
Scotty Barnes with that 5th pick over there in Houston. He'd be a great fit over there. And then you slap
Yeah.
freaking
Fun team right there.
you slap Moses Moody over there with the other pick, and you're good for it.
I don't know. I feel like they mostly need a good 5. Like, I think they got already.
The Rockets, you mean?
Yeah. Like, I feel like they already got a bunch of good, like, young rope. Like, Jayshawn Tate is one of them. Obviously, they have what's his face? Kenny Martin Jr. I don't know why I was drawing a blank there. I just feel like that center spot is like if they get a good center, Evan Mobley's the guy. I think they could take. That's a good roster right there. That's a good young roster.
And like the Cavs, like I understand, like they might luck out and get Evan Mobley, but like, and everyone says, I think the great thing about Evan Mobley is that he can like play anywhere because he's like such a versatile player. Like he said, he's a better shooter than what he is in college. Like I think so too. But like him and Jared Allen, like does that even work on like in the same starting lineup if you're the Cavs? Like it's just like a weird. I don't know.
You could just move Evan Mobley to the 4.
Yeah, but like, do you think that might? I don't know. That might limit how good Evan Mobley could be. You might not. I don't know. It's just like
Yeah, that's tough.
Because
it's just like
he reminds me a lot of Anthony Davis. Like he can move like him. He's got the size and length like Anthony Davis. I think he could pull off the 4, especially early in his career.
yeah. I think though,
I
I think
that
earlier
combo of the two big men, him and Jared Allen, work better than him and Christian Wood because Christian Wood is also more of a scoring big. So they're both going to be like, let me get that ball down low, like Jared Allen's like, yeah, I'll get the putback. I'll just get the lob. It doesn't matter to me. I can score 4 points. I don't care. So to me, I feel like that would work better because Mobley seems more of a scoring big. I feel like that would work better in my opinion, but
yeah, I'm excited, dude. This draft, it's gonna be a blast.
This is a good draft. I like this draft.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where everyone ends up because, again, after this top 3, you really have no clue.
yeah,
That's usually the case, but like, I'm excited.
If the Nets draft Cam Thomas, I'll buy a jersey first day. I'm buying a jersey because I already know. Like, actually, that would be the perfect fit.
You might get him.
Low key, that would be a nice fit.
You need some defense on that team. Is what you need. You don't need any more. You don't need any more offense.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what I want these clown ass Knicks to do. I
should take Sharif.
Seems like what I just saw, he's projected to go in the 2nd round.
I feel like that's crazy. People are just disrespecting that guy.
I want them to combine 19 and 21, trade into that lottery, and pick like, I don't even know, dude. James Bouknight, that guy's always on my list.
I don't know. I feel like Sharif Cooper has crazy upside.
Yeah,
for
but
a
we just
player.
Emmanuel quickly, and we're trying
They're
to trade
different
for
players.
point guard.
He's like a legit point guard. Like he's like legit. Like
Yeah, but we're trying to trade for a point guard.
Yeah, Lonzo.
Why would we draft one?
Lonzo. I'm telling you, Lonzo.
Well, Lonzo might be on his way over to Charlotte, Toby.
That would be so sick. That would be so sick.
LaMelo and Lonzo.
Yeah, dude. They need need them to play together.
I don't think that
They would have to trade they would have to get rid of
Devontae Graham.
and the other guy.
Who?
Scary Terry. Terry Rozier, yeah.
So what? Yeah, get rid of him. Dude, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm saying they gotta do a lot of work to get this guy over there.
Yeah, I guess so. But not to mention they do have Gordon Hayward too, so that's definitely a playoff team.
Hornets are in the lottery. Hornets need a big man though, I think.
Yeah. I don't think Cody Zeller's
Got to get a center in there.
Bismack Biyombo.
Remember that guy had like that one year where he like popped off in I think it was Toronto.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember that. It was like a playoff run or something. And he got paid. And then he just didn't do anything after that.
Yeah, shout out Bismack.
All right, well, I don't know if you guys have any other bits of news. Next week.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
Well,
I don't got nothing.
By this time next week, we'll know who got drafted where. We'll know if there are any superstars that got traded, things like that. But until then, this has been episode number 32.
Keep an eye out for Bradley Beal. Letting y'all know now.
That's in 4.
All right. See you. From myself, Jorie Mickens, and my 2 co-hosts, Justin Sadovi and Chris Tobias, thank you so much for listening to that episode of the Fullcourt Report NBA show. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at FullCReport, on Instagram at the.fullcourt.report. Like and comment on this video and subscribe so you never miss a minute of action.